So, so my name is Elmarie Pereira. I'm COO for Mameza Child Crime Prevention, which is a social enterprise. So we're a non-profit and a PTY working together hand in hand. And I'm here on behalf of our CEO, Tulim Tetwa, who's actually just landed in Kuwait this morning with the DTI. So I'm not going to do her, trying to sound like Tuli. It won't do her justice. But I'll tell you my story and how it started with Mameza and what we're doing. So I just want to take a step back 12 years ago on a plot in Bloemfontein where my sister, husband, and their 10-year-old son was living. It was March. One morning I received a call that said my sister passed away during the evening. Her husband shot her 5 times with the little boy in the house. So you can imagine when that happens to you, your family changes, obviously. Your life outlook changes. I was working for a corporate, earning a nice salary, having nice shoes, life was comfortable. But that kind of changed your view on what's important in life. Then, about 5 years ago, I met Tuli. A mentor, both of our mentor introduced us to each other, and she had the same experience with her sister, having a horrible experience with crime, the daughter almost being raped. Luckily, they did survive that. And she went the same route and left her corporate job. And the aim is that we wanted to do something for those vulnerable people living in communities that does not have access to private security, to any security tools. They really depend on their family, friends, neighbors, the police, and the community policing forums around them for help. And that is how Mameza kind of came about. So I've told you about that. So Mameza is a social enterprise. We're in Diepsloot, right across the road in the Riversands Incubation Hub. And as you can see, we've been going for 5 years. We've got quite a footprint already, although it hasn't been easy, and it's never easy for a social enterprise. And, finding sustainability is our daily nightmare of how to make this happen and how to make sure that we can be there for the rest, 20 years from now. So what was the problem? Tuli's sister, for instance, was living in Tembisa. The night that they tried to break into her house when her and her daughter was alone at home, she tried to call everyone. She tried to call Tuli. She tried to call the neighbors from her cell phone. She could not reach anyone. It took them half an hour to get into the house, and still they were robbed and attacked. And only the next morning, Tuli, for instance, got the message and went there and found this horrific scene. So what we are saying is that let's give people that don't have access to private security technology that allows them to, at a press of a button, communicate with a network of people that can respond. Now, that network of people can include SAPS, which we've got a partnership with, your community policing forums, but it's more a community-driven approach. So as you will see here that Mameza developed, and I'll tell you the process now, how it has come about, South Africa's first public alarm system. So it's a very simplified alarm system that gets installed in the most vulnerable, a granny living in a shack in Taung, far down northwest. And at a press of a button, it communicates to everyone on that proactive response network, and ultimately it prevents and reduces crime. We've even gone as far as looking at the education system. A lot of these no-fee paying schools, big corporates come and they sponsor a whole lot of tablets and smart boards, and they install it and everybody's happy, and the next day they all get stolen. So we've gone as far as saying, how can we help protect that educational equipment through a social enterprise point of view? So if that school or granny cannot afford to buy the alarm system, we need to have partners, government, corporates involved to say, we will give you this alarm system to make sure that you can make use of the network to protect you. So has it proven to work? We did a pilot right after the prototyping of the product and going through that whole cycle, and in Diepsloot, where we deployed 600 of those home alarm systems, and the pilot ran for a year. There was a 9% drop in murder rate and a 67% drop in sexual offences, and the improvement in SAP's service delivery time to 7 minutes response time. So it does work. Where everybody works together, it definitely does work. So it was a new innovation. Tuli left her job. At that time, it was a red light that she went to the innovation hub in Linwood and said to them, my sister was attacked. I want to put this red light in home so that we can push a button and there needs to be a siren that goes out on the outside of the house. A siren and a strobe light, that was it. They liked the idea. While we were there, Luckily for us, SAPS and the Centre for Public Service Innovation came and looked for entrepreneurs that could bring them closer to the community through technology. So we started that partnership. We were lucky enough to fund the development of the innovation through the DTI, the Innovation Hub, Centre for Public Service Innovation. So government really came on board. Funding the innovation, we had to go out and look for more funding to do the pilot. So apart from the 2.3 million that we had to raise funds for developing the innovation, we still had to go and raise another 3 million to do this pilot in Diepsloot, run it over a year. This alarm system works on data, SMS. It takes a lot of resources to deploy that. We've done that successfully, and as I said, it definitely does work. I want to show you a quick 2-minute video that takes you into the heart of Diepsloot and really shows you what it does before I kind of wrap up, and we'll share with you where we are as a social enterprise and what is the difficulties that we experience from a day-to-day basis.
Memeza is a community-based crime prevention initiative that was started out of anger, out of sadness, out of pain. It was after I had been a repeat crime victim. Then we started working with the police, with the SAPS, with the Department of Community Safety to say, what if there was a panic button that when you press it, it will inform the police, it will inform CPF, it will inform the patrollers and the neighbors, as discussed at CPF, that I am in trouble. Then they were happy with that, and that's how Memeza was born.
Pile ke tla kry Memeza ne le gore ditsotsi ne di tsena vele di jampa di ya kwa le kwa mara after ke kry Memeza ke kry protect.
It's about giving a voice to the woman that is alone, that is experiencing crime. It's about empowering that woman to say something, to do something when she is in trouble.
Tsotsi ha itsene ka next door. Mme wa ka next door mando wa khona go mfounela re Hilda mpressage alarm. Ke press alarm. I cannot press alarm e thomare ba balega. Di mapodisa ala te. Once ke press alarm mapodisa after 5 minutes e ba lefa ba tsena.
When they press the alarm, it comes straight to our cell phones and shows us the street name and the house number. So it's easy for us to find where the complaint is and we respond as soon as possible.
Memeza e thusitse kudu. Ke a leboga ba Memeza.
Okay, so it's been 5 years. This was kind of on the first slide, but we've currently got a footprint in 7 provinces. I think out of all of this, the most exciting for us now is it's taken us 5 years to get government and SAPS to the point where at the end of this month we'll actually be launching nationally with them. It's been a really hard road because, as you know, all the political changes, as soon as you think you're about there, then you have to start afresh with someone else.
Do it before the next election.
And all of that time, yeah. Oh, that's the plan. And all of that time you need to make sure that you can actually pay your staff, employ new skilled people, and move this big bus forward. So it's been quite a journey and we've learned a lot. As part of our journey as a social enterprise, we had to find new ways to become sustainable. So we had to, although the community alarm system is our main focus, we had to kind of branch out a little bit. So what we've started doing was look at other social ills to do with crime in communities and how we can help save that. I mentioned the ICT that gets deployed to these schools. We've actually now started on a project on implementing trackers into sponsored tablets and things so that we can help track it if they actually get stolen out of schools. And that is a new revenue stream that we've started to make sure the company is more, the non-profit and PTY is more sustainable. Community-based surveys. So what we've noticed is there's a lot of corporates that want to do community-based surveys, and unless you go with the really big survey companies and pay millions and millions of rands, there's not a lot of smaller survey companies that can actually provide you with a trusted surveys, because they are out there, but you can't really always trust what you get out of the surveys. So we've started going down that avenue and completed a couple of these surveys. Community youth job creation, I think, was an easy route for us to go in because we're dealing with physical alarm systems that needs to be installed in households. So through corporate sponsorship, we could train community youth to become alarm installers. We can sponsor them with the actual toolboxes and tablets and drills and everything they need. And we actually make them resellers of the product. so that they can resell it to spaza shops and people in their community that can afford to pay a couple of rand for a community-based alarm system. As you know, in these communities, we depend a lot on the community policing forums. So we've also started ensuring that we can uplift those forums. So lots of times you have people that volunteer their time to help communities, but they don't have two-way radios, they don't have branded T-shirts, they don't have bicycles, they don't have any of that. So when we get partners on board, we always ensure that we include funding to make sure we uplift these people. It also gives our solution a longevity and a bit more trust along response. Very exciting that has actually just happened this year, as we always had a big focus on the non-profit organisation, getting funding through that. And we've actually realised, and we've always kind of said, this PTY will never make money. Now let's just get funding, because nobody can buy our alarm system because we're dealing with people who cannot afford it. So we've actually now got enterprise development funding and set up our own micro-manufacturing plant, which means we're going to be producing our own product, which will bring the product price down by 40%, which would now actually mean maybe someone in the township can afford to buy the alarm system, and we can even give more to those who really cannot afford. This is just a snapshot of some of the awards. What I really want to get to is just some of the struggles that we've been seeing as a social enterprise, and maybe you can identify with that. Government support for commercialization is minimal. So as you could see, we got a lot of money to develop a product. Now that we're at the stage where we're saying to government, yes, we developed it, now buy the product and put it in every RDP house. When you do that, it can afford to buy other products for people who can afford. As soon as you want to do that, they tell you, fine, then we have to go out on tender, because we cannot give you more than 500,000 rand. As soon as we go out on tender, all the big guys come in, and they will cannibalize and take the business that we've kind of built for the communities. A big, big problem that we're struggling with currently. The forever piloting concepts. I mean, we've been through so many pilots of this project, and every time you get to a new department, it's like, we would like to pilot this in that community, which we never can say no to, because we need the funding and we need to put it into the community. So it's a forever piloting cycle that you're in, which causes a lot of administration and paperwork, because you need to prove every time, over and over, that it actually works. Servicing those who cannot afford needs a very creative financial model, and to today we're still struggling to find how do we do this. How do we really shape this so that it can be affordable for all South Africans, or those kind of things. So I'm actually really interested to hear the next person speak about the financial modelling around social enterprises. Legalities around social enterprises, I mean, between Tuli and myself, it's been a struggle to know, how do we keep the book straight between these two organisations? What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do? So I will put my hand up for any legal advice around social enterprise that are two organisations working together. Affordability of highly skilled people is really an issue to us. Luckily, we've got a great team, but sometimes you need to appoint a lawyer in your company and you don't know how you can afford them. So that is a problem. And then obviously always, because of the huge crime in South Africa, the need, the requests that we get from communities are so big, and there's always that growing need for extra funding to help and serve those communities. And that's it. Thank you very much.